It's time to get up, Mom. The cemetery was quiet in the way that only early mornings can be, the kind of quiet that isn't empty, but full of things too soft to hear. Mist clung low to the grass. Somewhere beyond the iron gate, the world was waking up, buses grinding into motion, shopkeepers pulling up shutters, a rooster crowing at nothing in particular. But inside those gates, none of that mattered. Time moved differently here. A small girl walked the gravel path alone, her backpack too big for her shoulders, its straps worn thin from being tightened again and again by hands too young to know how to fix things properly. She knew the way without needing to look. Third row. Fourth stone. The one with the small chip in the corner, the one she used to trace with her finger when she was smaller and didn't yet understand what a headstone was. She stopped in front of it and, for a moment, just stood there. Then, carefully, the way you'd set something down that might break, she slipped the backpack off her shoulders and placed it on the ground in front of the grave right where her mother's feet would have been, if her mother were only sleeping and not something else, something the girl still didn't have the right word for. She sat down on the cold earth. She didn't mind the cold. She'd grown used to being cold in places the weather couldn't reach. For a while, she said nothing at all. She simply sat, knees pulled to her chest, eyes fixed on the letters carved into the stone until they blurred into shapes she no longer needed to read, because she already knew them by heart. Then, so quietly it barely disturbed the morning air, she whispered, "Mom, it's late. It's time to get up." She waited, the way children wait, half believing, half knowing better, but unwilling to let go of the half that still hoped. "Today, the teacher wants to talk to you." Her fingers found a small weed growing at the base of the stone and pulled it out, gently, the way her mother used to do in their little garden before everything changed. "She says I never do my homework. She says I always wear dirty clothes. She says nobody takes care of me." Her voice caught, just slightly, on the word nobody. "But that's not true, Mom." She shook her head, as if arguing with someone who could still be convinced. "That's not the case. You have to tell her. Tell her that's not true." Tears had started now, tracing quiet lines down a face still too young to have learned how to hide them. "Tell him who you are," she said, her voice trembling but insistent, as though saying it clearly enough might make it happen. "Tell him that you loved me. Tell him you do love me. Tell him I'm not the girl he thinks I am. Tell him I'm your girl." She pressed her small hand flat against the cool stone, the closest thing to holding her mother's hand that the world would allow her anymore. "Life without you, Mom," she whispered, "it's like a day without sun. Everyone else still walks around like nothing happened. But I've been cold inside for so long. And I don't know how to tell them that. I don't know how to make them understand that it's not that I don't try. It's that I'm trying to do everything by myself, and I'm only 8. The wind moved gently through the cemetery trees, stirring a few loose leaves across the grass, and for one small, foolish moment, the girl closed her eyes and let herself believe it was her mother's hand brushing her hair, the way it used to. She stayed like that a long while, long enough for the mist to lift, long enough for the sun to finally climb over the cemetery wall and lay a thin gold line across the grass. And when at last she opened her eyes, something in her had softened, just slightly, the way grief sometimes does when it has been spoken aloud instead of carried silently. She didn't get an answer. Graves don't give answers. But she got something else instead, the quiet, aching comfort of having said the words out loud to the only person she still trusted enough to hear them. She picked up her backpack, slung it back over her small shoulders, and pressed her palm once more against the stone. "I'll come back tomorrow," she said. "I'll tell you how it went." Then she turned and walked back down the gravel path, alone, but somehow a little less cold than when she'd arrived, because grief, when it is spoken instead of swallowed, always leaves just a little more room for the light to get in. Moral: words have weight. And when they fall upon a heart that is already broken, they don't disappear, they echo. They shape how gently, or how carelessly we choose to speak to the people around us. We rarely know what quiet mornings, what empty graves, what unspoken griefs someone is carrying beneath their silence. So before we judge the dirty clothes, the missing homework, the child who seems unreachable, perhaps we should first ask, gently, what is it you're still carrying alone? Because sometimes, the kindest thing we can offer someone isn't an answer. It's simply the patience to listen until they no longer have to whisper it to a stone.